On the news tonight, President and his vice takes oath of office. Brigade Commander orders a Shamile off parade ground. El Rufai promised smiles for people in second term. Okorocha degraded emo institutions. Resident doctors threaten strike over poor welfare. A very good evening to you. I am Priscilla Iwurm on TVN News at the Hour. President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo have been sworn in for a second term in office on Wednesday in Abuja. The oath of office was administered around 10:15 a.m. by the Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad. President Buhari was on February 27 declared the winner of February 23rd presidential elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The returning officer for the 2019 presidential elections, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, made the declaration. Buhari, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, pulled 1,091 votes, 847 votes to defeat the country's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, who had 11,262,978 votes. Buhari was first inaugurated as President of Nigeria on May 29, 2015, making it the first time in Nigeria's history that an opposition candidate was taken over from an incumbent president. The 2019 presidential See, why I told you to leave was because this thing has to do with...
Check 1, 2. Are you okay now?
Your figure will not be comfortable. That's just it for now.
Don't put that on me.
Say something, say something.
My advice was, when you are reading,
Are you okay?
see, you open that book. You are just reading, let it not be a sin.
No, why I'm reading like that was because I've discovered that they don't... On the news tonight, and his vice takes oath of office. Brigade Commander orders a Shamile off parade ground. El Rufai promised smiles for people in second term. Okorocha degraded emo institutions. Resident doctors threaten strike over poor welfare. A very good evening to you. I am Priscilla Iwurm on TVN News at the Hour. President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo have been sworn in for a second term in office on Wednesday in Abuja. The oath of office was administered around 10:15 a.m. by the Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad. President Buhari was on February 27th declared the winner of February 23rd presidential elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The returning officer for the 2019 presidential elections, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, made the declaration. Buhari, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, pulled 15,191,847 votes to defeat the country's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, who had 11,262,978 votes. Buhari was first inaugurated as President of Nigeria on May 29, 2015, making it the first time in Nigeria's history that an opposition candidate was taken over from an incumbent president. The 2019 Square was heralded by a colorful military parade which received the service chiefs, CJN, Vice President and President as they arrived. Buhari and Osinbajo was accompanied to the event by their wives, Buhari and Dolapo Osinbajo, respectively. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State says his return to office would enable him raise the bar of good governance in his state. The governor stated this in his maiden address after being sworn in for a second term in office on Wednesday at the Stephen Keshi Stadium, Asaba. The state's Chief Judge Justice Marshal Umokoro administered the oath of office on the governor and his deputy at the ceremony. Okowa said his administration in the next 4 years would consolidate on its achievements in various areas and sectors of the state economy. According to Okowa, this mandate is an invitation to raise the bar of good governance even higher and to surpass his achievements in the first tenure. Returning Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, said on Wednesday that in trying to improve the livelihood of the people, his administration would consider the interest of the populace first and leave no one behind. El-Rufai, who made the pledge in his inaugural speech shortly after he was sworn in as the governor of Kaduna State for the second time, he added that his administration would in the next 4 years work towards putting smiles on people's faces. According to him, the effective way to fight poverty was to ensure financial independence among the people, adding that his government would continue to attract foreign investment and improve the business climate in the state. However, his goal, he said, is to provide job opportunities for the people and improve revenue generation for the state to execute people-oriented projects that will impact on the people. Governor Emeka Ihedioha of Imo State says ex-Governor Rochas Okorocha's administration degraded most institutions in Imo. Ihedioha stated this in his inaugural speech shortly after being sworn in by Imo Chief Judge Justice Pascal Nadi at the Dan Ayem Stadium, Owerri on Wednesday. The governor, who sympathized with the people of the state over what he described as debased and desecrated governance, promised to remedy the damages done by the immediate past administration. He solicited the cooperation of all stakeholders in the rebuilding process, pointing out that appropriate steps would be taken so as to restore faith and confidence in government. The Association of Resident Doctors has allotted a brewing crisis in hospitals owned by the federal government, by the Federal Capital Territory Administration over alleged poor welfare and working condition of health workers. Dr. Ronald Agbovo, the president of the association, raised the alarm in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja. Agbovo said lingering stagnation of health workers, stalled implementation of skipping policy and poor working condition was responsible for the proposed industrial action. He said FCTA resident doctors had been on the negotiating table with her management over the stagnation of her members occasioned by the non-implementation of the skipping policy. However, Agbovo noted that the doctors were promoted to the same grade level they were earlier promoted to, thereby resulting in stagnation. Still to come, Brigade Commander orders Oshiomhole off parade ground. Ladoja absent as Adebanjo Fale Fayose Oyinlola orders Grace Makinde's swearing in. Governor Ganduje declares free compulsory education in second term. And Governor Matawali Maradun promised to reinstate 1,400 workers. 10 people injured from stampede at Ihedioha's inauguration. The former governor of Oyo State, Rashid Ladoja, was conspicuously absent at the inauguration of the new governor of the state, Seyi Makinde, on Wednesday. Ladoja, the leader of the Zenith Labour Party, coordinated all the opposition parties, African Democratic Congress, Social Democratic Party, to adopt Makinde of the People's Democratic Party as the candidate. Their efforts also contributed to the victory of Makinde against Chief Bayo Adelabu, the candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress. Meanwhile, the PDP Deputy National Chairman, Chief Yemi Akinwumi, and some Yoruba leaders, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, Chief Olufale, Chief Olabode George, including former governors Omolola Oluloyo, Oyo State, Olagunsoye Onyelola, Osun State, Ayo Fayose Ekiti were part of the prominent people at the inauguration of Makinde on Wednesday at the Obafemi Awolowo Stadium in Ibadan. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has declared free primary and secondary education for school-age children in the state. He made the declaration in his acceptance speech shortly after being sworn in as Kano State Governor for second term in Kano on Wednesday. According to him, tertiary education for Kano indigents will also be subsidized as government consolidates on the achievement so far recorded in healthcare delivery. Ganduje said he will establish a new company known as Kano State Small Town Water Supply Agency to cater for the water needs of communities in rural areas. However, promised to boost agriculture and reiterate his administration's policy to zero tolerance to corruption. Governor Bello Matawalle Maradun of Zamfara State has promised to reinstate the 1,400 workers who were employed by the immediate past governor Abdulaziz Yari. Matawalle Maradun made the promise while delivering his speech during the inauguration in Gusau as the new governor of the state with his deputy Mahdi Aliyu Gusau. Recall that the affected workers were recruited by the State Civil Service Commission in May 2014. They are owed 6 months' salaries and other entitlements, but were later relieved of the appointment. But Matawalle Maradun said the workers were recruited in line with civil service rules and regulations. Thereby, his administration will reinstate them, he assured. At least 10 people, including a pregnant woman, were injured from a stampede during Imo Governor Emeka Ihedioha's inauguration on Wednesday in Owerri. A member of the medical team for the inauguration, Dr. Francis Igwe, confirmed the figure of the newsman in Owerri. The stampede resulted from a huge crowd which besieged the Dan Ayam Stadium venue of the inauguration. He told newsmen that the medical team led by Dr. Vin Udoku were proactive to handle the situation. Members of the Red Cross Society were also seen assisting in rescue operations during the stampede. Before the inauguration, a woman who had fainted and was carried away from the field by the medical personnel with a stretcher. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshamale, was given marching orders by the Commander, Guards Brigade, Brigadier General Omar Musa, for breaching protocol when he decided to take part in the president's inauguration at the Eagle Square on Wednesday. Several dignitaries who had a vital role to play in the inauguration of the president had lined up along the red carpet leading to where the president took the oath of office. Oshamale, who stood by the CJN, had hoped to shake hands with the president when he passed through. However, the commander of the Guards Brigade promptly asked Oshamale to leave the area and return to his seat, as he was not allowed to stand along with other government officials. Let's go on a short break, and when we return, Chinwe Osisiogu will tell us what is happening in the business sector.
Welcome to TVN Business. I am Chiwendu Osisiogo. The federal government may increase the level of borrowing this year to address the 102.8 billion naira funding cap that has been created as a result of the National Assembly tinkering with the 2019 budget. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, said this on Tuesday in Abuja during the public presentation of the 2019 approved budget. stating that when the bill was presented by the President to the National Assembly, the proposal contained the sum of 8.83 trillion naira, made up of 4.04 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure, 2.03 trillion naira for a capital expenditure, and 2.14 trillion naira for debt servicing, among others. Highlights of the 2019 budget as approved by the National Assembly include capital expenditure of 2.09 trillion naira, recurrent expenditure of 4.07 trillion naira, statutory transfers of 502 billion naira, fiscal deficit of 1.92 trillion naira, and special intervention of 500 billion naira. The convoy of the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, was on Tuesday night blocked by angry pensioners of the default Nigerian Airways. The pensioners who had arrived at the headquarters of the Ministry of Finance on Tuesday morning for pension verification claimed that they had traveled to Abuja from various parts of the country on the invitation of the ministry for data capturing. Some of them who spoke to our correspondent lamented the hardship they were subjected to since Sunday, as they had to sleep in open space within and around the Finance Ministry premises. The minister, who was rushing home to break a Ramadan fast after a meeting with head of agency under the ministry, was caught in the web of protests. Among the government officials that came to see the finance minister at that time, the protesters sealed the ministry entrance gate to include the Director General of Debt Management Office, Patient Oniha, Commissioner for Insurance, Mohammed Kari, and Senior Special Assistant to the President of National Assembly, Senate, Ethan Enang. The protesters paraded the entrance gate to the main gate and prevented the minister from leaving the premises. The Senate on Tuesday approved $266 million loan request for some developmental projects in Niger State. The loan is the state's development policy, operation credit facilities from the World Bank, as well as the Islamic Development Bank. The approval followed the adoption of the report of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt and is the third tranche of foreign loan approval for state. The chairman of the committee, Shehu Sani, while presenting the report, said the projects marked the Niger State government would boost the socio-economic development of the state. It said the Niger State $266 million loan was approved by the World Bank in 2016 and captured in the 2016-2018 external borrowing plan of President Muhammad Buhari, adding that the credit facility had an attractive low financing data of 1.25% interest for a period of 5 years and 25-year maturity tenure. That's the much we have for you today on TVN Business. I am Chiwendo Usisiogo. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Chinwe. And now on the foreign deck, 16 charged in Bangladesh for burning a girl alive. U.S. blames Iran for the damage to oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. And crowds gather to back the legalization of abortion in Argentina. Myanmar military accused of fresh war crimes in Rakhine. 16 people have been charged in Bangladesh over the shocking murder of a teenager who was burned to death after reporting sexual harassment. Nosrat Jahan Rafi, 19, was dosed with kerosene and set on fire on the roof of her Islamic school on April 6th, days after filing a complaint. Police reported that the headmaster, Sira Ud Dawla, targeted the complaint. Is among those charged because he ordered her mother from prison when she refused to withdraw her accusations against him. They described the preparation of the killing as being like a military plan. The case sparked mass protests in Bangladesh and shone a spotlight on the vulnerability of victims of sexual assault and harassment in the country. According to the police, they had planned to make it look like a suicide, but Ms. Rafi, the victim, suffered burns to 80% on her body, but was able to give a statement before she died on 10th of April. U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton reported that naval mines almost certainly from Iran were to blame for the damage to oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman earlier this month. Bolton provided no evidence to support the allegation, which Iran said was laughable. The attacks off the eastern coast of the United Arab Emirates on May 12th left holes in the hulls of 4 ships. The incident came amid an escalation in tensions between Iran and the U.S. Meanwhile, the U.S. Vice Admiral Michael Gilday said he believed with a high degree of confidence that the attack stems back to the leadership of Iran at the highest levels. Bolton, a long-standing advocate for regime change in Iran, echoed the Admiral's words during a visit to the UAE on Wednesday, telling reporters it was clear that Iran is behind the attack. Few details have revealed that the attack took place at about 6 GMT on Sunday, 12 May, within UAE territory, just outside the Strait of Hormuz. A mammoth crowd marched on the Congress building in the Argentine capital Buenos Aires to demand the discriminalization of abortion. The Tuesday's march came as a bill was introduced to legalize termination in the first 14 weeks of pregnancy. Thousands of women wearing green handkerchiefs, which have become symbolic to their fight to legalize abortion, chanted slogans and held up placards back in the latest attempt to get the bill made into law. The founder of the National Campaign for the Right to Legal, Safe and Free Abortion, Nina Bogo, said that the bill introduced on Tuesday was largely the same as that defeated last year, but that it included some extra safeguards for women seeking an abortion. Meanwhile, Health Ministry estimated that at least 350,000 illegal abortions are performed in Argentina every year, but women's rights groups think that the number may be much higher. Myanmar's army is committing fresh war crimes against ethnic groups in Rakhine State. According to human rights group Amnesty International, in a new report, Amnesty accuses the army of carrying out extrajudicial killings, torture and arbitrary arrest amid an operation against an ethnic Buddhist guerrilla force. The human rights group made the allegations after speaking to dozens of people living in areas affected by the conflict and analyzing photographs, videos, and satellite imagery. The report documents 7 unlawful attacks that killed 14 civilians and injured at least 29 more. It also details incidents of torture, enforced disappearances, and arbitrary arrest. Meanwhile, more than 70,000 people fled the country as a result of the crackdown on the ethnic minority group, while more than 30,000 mainly Buddhist civilians have been displaced in the latest fighting. Headlines roundup again. President and his vice takes oath of office. Brigade commander orders a Shamale off parade ground. El-Rufai promised smile for people in second term. Okorocha degraded Imo institutions, and resident doctors threaten strike over poor welfare. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Always remember that fighting corruption is not just good governance. It is self-defense and it is prioritizing. I am Priscilla Iwirim, TVN. Stay tuned.